Today, we're going to talk about Axie Infinity and whether or not the rally we saw start in 2020 is likely to continue or if it's over. I'm also going to show you guys something later in the video that has to do with the RSI, where it matches up exactly to a previous breakout point in the market. So you're not going to want to miss that. And if you guys are enjoying this content, be sure to subscribe to the channel and also click the bell icon, because I am posting these videos Monday through Friday every single day. So be sure to click the bell icon so that you get notifications and you don't miss out. Okay, so starting out with AXS USDT on the daily time frame, you can clearly see a couple of things here from this market. So ever since late 2020, during the inception, so I believe this is the inception back here. Every chart I've seen shows a late 2020 inception. From the low down here, we have this ascending channel and also clearly a macro uptrend of higher highs and higher lows. Now, you can also see where the market has come into support here recently. Okay, now the thing to keep in mind with a chart like this, and I want to start here because it helps to keep people a little bit grounded, add some reality to a chart like this. So from the inception, Axie Infinity has had an incredible run. So it's ran up approximately 160,000% or so. So 160,000% from its start to the all-time high. So you have to kind of keep that in mind when looking at a chart like this, because even though the market is entering support, it is not just going to do this forever. It is an asset where we can apply a value to it, aka the market cap. In that case, we can say that it is going to be much harder to move from current levels down here back up to the top of this channel. It's going to be much, much harder than it was back here up to the all-time high. And that's simply because at this low, the market cap was around $200 million. The high up here was around $10 billion. The low right now, the market cap is about $5 billion. So we're literally talking about a low at $5 billion versus a low back here at $200 million. All right, so a big difference. It's going to take a lot more capital to move the market higher. The same thing applies to Bitcoin. It's why we get diminishing returns every cycle. Now, with all of that said, it does not mean that Axie Infinity cannot move higher, because I think it can, especially if we see Bitcoin start to pump, which we're getting a little bit of a move today. But if we do see the market move up toward that $50,000 to $53,000 area on Bitcoin, which I've been talking about, then I do think we get a nice move here from Axie Infinity as well. And so if we look here at the daily time frame and kind of move into this, we can see that back here during this low at $200 million, we saw a descending trend line here where the market broke out and then went on a massive run. So if we move to the current price action, now that we kind of have the structure of this overall ascending channel, let's see if we can spot something similar to identify a potential breakout point. So if we look at this price action during the recent drawdown, you can see that we have these two highs up here. Now, the market hasn't really tested this level up here in quite some time. However, if you move this level back, you can see that this is very clearly a descending channel. Okay, so we have this low back here, we have this high, this one back here, and also this low. Now, it also appears like we could have a higher low developing here today. Okay, so if the market can come up here and take out this high back here right around $84, then we could start to see a series of higher highs and higher lows for the market to move up here and test resistance right around $100. Now, from these highs back here, you can also see where we have a trend line off of these highs that could come into play here over the coming days. And this level is going to come in closer to about $84, maybe $85. Now, this is actually a descending channel as well. So it starts to get a little bit crazy. There's a lot of overlap here, but let me show you what I'm referring to. So if we take this once again, so these highs up here, all right, so this one here, this high, and also these two lows, you can clearly see that we also have a second smaller descending channel within this larger one. Okay, so a lot going on here, and there's actually more to it. We also have, and this is very common, guys, with a sideways market, you build up a lot of resistance levels during a downtrend like this. Okay, so we have two horizontal resistance levels that you'll also want to keep an eye on. All right, so the first one is right around $91, and the second one is up around $115. Now, we can kind of simplify this So it doesn't look quite so crazy. And instead of drawing these as channels, we can actually just remove these because support isn't going to be that significant, simply because to move down to those support levels, the market would be breaking below that ascending channel. Okay, so we can kind of remove those just to keep the chart a little bit clean and draw it like this. Okay, so what I would say for Axie Infinity over the coming days, it needs to get above this trend line up here. Okay, so right around maybe $84. The next level is going to be 91. And this is going to be a big level here. You can see where it was support previously, the market dropped below it. So it needs to get back above that level on a daily closing basis to flip it back to support. Now, this level through here, though, is also going to be significant right in this area around $84, $85. The reason for that is because ever since this high up here, we have seen a series of lower highs, lower lows. Okay, so hence the downtrend. And in order to reverse that downtrend, you need to see that first higher high followed by that first higher low. And so in order to do that, we need to see AXS get above this area right around $84 to carve that first higher high, flip this to support, and then move up and reclaim that area right around $90. Okay, so we're basically looking for a change in trend right now from lower highs, lower lows to higher highs, higher lows. And so far, we don't quite have that. Okay, we have something that could be a higher low developing here, but the market needs to take out this area up around 84 in order to really do that. Now, I think the bigger level to keep in mind here is going to be up here around $100. So this downtrend right here, if we were to see Axie Infinity take that out over the coming weeks, then that could really start to change the trend, especially because by then the market would be having those higher highs and higher lows we talked about. And also it would have reclaimed this level through here. Okay, so that could really be the catalyst here for a breakout over the coming weeks. But then of course, don't forget that we also have 115 to deal with, which was support back here and then resistance. Okay, so I know that there's a lot going on here, but as I said, this is pretty typical when you get several months of downward to sideways price action. The market is naturally going to build up a lot of resistance levels, which clearly we have here. Okay, so what I would say about this, again, I do think the market has an opportunity to move higher once it does start to carve those higher highs and higher lows, gets above some of these resistance levels, especially this area up around $100. Now, as I've said with Bitcoin before, if you are trying to get into a position here, not financial advice, but this is what I tend to do. Instead of looking to allocate all of your capital above this level here or above 90 or 100, instead just dollar cost average. And it's okay to average up if you know the market is making higher highs and higher lows and it's taking out those resistance levels. So in other words, if it were to break this level up here, so close above this trend line, potentially add a little bit to it. Okay, buy a little bit here, takes this out, buy a little here, takes out 100, buy a little on that breakout. Now, I tend to look for retests of support, so I wouldn't buy on that first daily close. I would wait for the retest as new support in order to buy. So you would buy here on the retest, and buy here on the retest. Okay, again, that's just what I do, not financial advice. So if we do see all of that occur and Bitcoin does move up to that $50,000 to $53,000 area, and we see continued strength from the crypto market like we're seeing a little bit today, then I do think Axie Infinity could go on another run, at least back to the all-time high, potentially up toward $200-300 later this year. So there is some opportunity here to really play the uptrend that's been intact since late 2020. But as I said, just don't expect the market to do this. It was a very different environment. The market was trading around a $200 million market cap compared to today's $5 billion market cap. So I think as long as you keep that in the back of your mind and really just take what the market gives you, then I think you'll be in good shape. Now, one last thing I do want to show you that I promised you in the beginning of this video is the RSI. So if we move back out here and look at the entire uptrend for Axie Infinity and bring up the RSI, all right, you're going to notice something very interesting about this. Okay, so this back here was during the previous downtrend. All right, so this right here matches up with this move here, and the RSI from this high back here and all these lower highs and lower lows matches up, of course, to the recent pullback. Now, if you notice, these look very similar. In fact, if we draw a trend line off of the highs, it is almost identical. Okay, so from those highs and then also from these recent highs during the downtrend, you can see that we get a very similar pattern. Even the slope of that trend line is nearly identical. Now, I don't typically use RSI like this. I don't typically look for breakouts from RSI, but I do think that this is pretty striking. So if you notice back here, this was the breakout, and sure enough, that's right when the breakout from price occurred as well. So you could keep an eye on this trend line on the RSI and wait for a break right above this area around 42 on the RSI. If the market does close above that area, so up in this area here, then that could confirm the breakout, especially if you're seeing something on the chart as well, on the price chart, where you get a move above this trend line up here, right around $84, $85, and get that first higher high. So if you were to get that combined with the RSI closing above this trend line, then that could add some confidence to the idea that Axie Infinity is about to go on another run. So that's what I'm looking for here. Again, it's a lot to look at. There's a lot of resistance levels in play, but I do think that if we get that first higher high, we see the RSI start to break out, then I think we could be on a run here, especially if we see Bitcoin close above that $44,000 to $46,000 resistance area that I talked about in yesterday's video. So if you missed that, be sure to check it out. But yeah, Axie Infinity, I think, has some potential later this year if it can clear some of these resistance levels and that RSI does start to break out. So if you guys enjoyed this content, be sure to subscribe to the channel. And as I said before, click the bell icon so you get notifications. I am posting these videos every day, Monday through Friday. So be sure to sign up so you get notifications. And I will talk to you guys again tomorrow.